2022. All in all, it's an interesting year to describe. Far be it from it to be called good, it's instead been a different flavour of bad to what we've had in previous years.
It's like we've just left the one-star roadside attraction, still just about able to make out the ash clouds billowing from it, when we come across the cavalcade of road-based misfortune. Several roadworks, a 10-car pile-up, merging lanes, a confusingly signed roundabout, and a veritable conga line of trucks with drivers that treat the road rules like the rules of Uno, aka make it up as you go.
But interspersed throughout the year have been my own videos, and while they've not been likely to set the world on fire or anything, at least a light chuckle or an occasional snort out of the nose I would take, as that'll just set me up just fine. And so, without any real segue and in no particular order, here are my top 5 videos of 2022. Well, isn't this novel? A YouTuber makes a YouTube video about the decline of a dynasty, due to continual civil warfare, the rise of foreign power, as well as the continued erosion of morality. Well, in my defense, it was only my job to retell the history. It wasn't everyone else's job to repeat it. I now understand how historians feel every time the same things happen over and over again, despite the history being right there for everyone to see. Forever we shall be like Cassandra, continually predicting things and never getting believed.
Overall, this style of video is one I have a particular love for, not just because it means I get to dust off my historian hat, but also because when the material is good, opportunities for jokes become gift-wrapped like the world's most appetizing Christmas gift.
And considering how I plan to continue this series into next year, I am fully expecting the rest of the world to continue in this particular dance macabre, which I am reliably informed is just the Macarena on repeat. A viewer of the channel recommended this film, and by Jove, the man has good taste.
This was a film which very much entrenched itself into the comedy side of action comedy. So much so that I felt like I had to compete with this film for Comedy King, like I would somehow be inadequate if I didn't measure up to a film from the early 2000s directed by a Bruce Lee superfan.
Although the crown was composed of rubber chickens, so who's the real fool here? I must confess, for a long time I didn't really think much about Bruce Lee. I was always more of a Jackie Chan man growing up. But lo and behold, for now finally I can burst into the room and exclaim, has anyone ever seen Bruce Lee films? They're great, aren't they? Only to interrupt a conversation about how water is wet.
What struck me most was how when you divorce this film from its themes, it is essentially a simple film from its plot to its choreography. But it pulls off that simplicity so well that the themes just become an excellent garnish on a perfectly cooked ribeye.
It really is clear just how good Bruce Lee's films are after wading through the cesspool of mediocre films I've had to wade through this year. It seemed to rise to the top like a golden chariot, ready to whisk me away to Valhalla. But first I had to make a quick pit stop to review yet another direct-to-DVD Jackie Chan film. When I began this year, I did so wanting to rely less on technology and social media. See, I had come to the conclusion that they were really just a distraction. Plus, all they really seemed to be doing at the minute was just acting as a refuse dump for dust. But no sooner had I reached this conclusion than all of the tech that I use to make these videos seemed to suddenly break. Oh, sweet irony. So, as a result, I remember making this video being more stressful than normal, seeing as how I was at least 5 minutes away from crashing and losing any progress all the time.
But overall, this was a fun video to research as well as make, as I made my theories on the corkboard of how Tia may have been previous top G before Odin waltzed into frame, or how the two were once one deity and endured a painful cesarean at some point, only to discover I had reached the same conclusion everyone else did decades ago.
If everyone keeps coming to this conclusion, then is it a good theory or a bad theory? Or am I spending too long gnawing on this like Fenrir gnaws on hands? When I drew up the plans to make up this video this year, I was both anxious and excited about it. On the one hand, I get to talk about my favourite monster. Result? But on the other hand, it was outside of my usual wheelhouse, since the algorithm doesn't really like it when you do anything, you know, different. And so I was fully expecting this video to crash and burn almost immediately, and I just didn't want to see that happen to my poor innocent video. But then it turned into my best performing video of the year. Quite the underdog story. Or alternatively, it's a sign that no one actually likes my usual content, and so I should perhaps switch things up while I still can. Oh, who am I kidding? I was in too deep by Enter the Warrior's Gate.
Of the versions I looked at, the 2009 remake will always stick out to me most as the quintessential example. Probably as I'm more used to it, plus it has that modern polish to trump the original. While I think Wolfblood was the weakest example I used, unfortunately, mostly because I get the impression that the themes here were done better in other places.
But I still love it, warts and all. That is, when the furries it inspired have stopped humping my leg. And so that was my top 5 videos of 2022, with an honourable or dishonourable mention going to Lightsaber Deconstruction 2. I mean, say what you will about it, I still think it's a terrible weapon. But I have mellowed a bit to the point of where I only mildly want to mince the face of anyone who tries to defend it. See, I, much like Kratos, can go through a character arc too. But what videos will I make next year? Will Marvel ever make a good film ever again? Should we have made that left turn at Albuquerque? Find out next time! Same bad time, same bad channel.